Okay, welcome. Happy Sunday. First things first, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the notification button. I'm probably not going to be doing this for too long today. I'm a little bit tired. I just had to go to the ER and get some X-rays and all the fun stuff. And it doesn't help that it's also like 15 degrees outside right now too. So, trying to stay warm right now and kick it a little bit. I'll do this for a little bit though, and then I got to go. Oh, I got to go buy more supplies because we are going to have an epic storm come in early this week, and it is going to be, we're going to at least get half a foot of snow, it seems like, if not more, and brutal cold. So, got to do a little bit of that. But I got a question from Marlon the other day, and Marlon, that's a new guy. I never gotten any questions from him before, so that's always kind of cool when you get some new people in the door. Marlon wanted to know, he said, what's the science behind gooning, man? And, well, I don't have any science for you, but I got, maybe some psychology for you about why you do goon. And obviously, I mean, if you haven't been living under a rock for the past couple of years, you know what gooning is. And gooning is, using your fingers to, touch certain things about yourself to, make them feel good, so to speak. And gooning is obviously something that a lot of people have opinions on. Some people, it seems like the more liberal type people are, it's totally fine. Sometimes you just got to clean out the pipes, maybe don't do it 10 times a day, but, you don't want to get prostate cancer now, do you? And then, you've got more of the people on the right who have kind of taken the whole, retention pill in a sense. And their whole thing is, never goon, or if you do goon, make it, every once in a while, don't do it all the time. Because it's seen as a crutch, kind of, much like consuming alcohol or smoking or whatever. So, in my opinion, this isn't the first person who's asked this question before. And clearly you wouldn't ask this question unless you had a problem with gooning yourself. Nobody asks this question if they've got their sexuality completely under control, on lock, You wouldn't need to ask the question. So, typically, from the people that I've talked to and the literature I read online, one of the hardest things, especially for guys, is the urge to goon in the morning. Now, we know when you wake up in the morning, if you're a healthy enough guy, you get, morning wood, right? Maybe not all the time, but most of the time you're going to wake up and, you're going to be standing at attention. The other thing is that when you wake up in the morning, typically you have to urinate. I find that I think a lot of guys mistake that pressure in their bladder for horniness. You know what I mean? And so a lot of guys, they'll wake up in the morning and they'll end up rubbing one out when really all you needed to do was urinate, take a piss. And, because if you take a piss, you get rid of that, stress on your bladder. And, well, now you don't want to goon anymore. So, no problem. You know what I mean? I think just a lot of guys mistake that signal. They're like, oh, I woke up, I'm super horny. Well, no, you're not. You just need to pee. And you're stressed. Your cortisol's higher because that pee needs to come out, So that's a huge problem, I think, for a lot of guys. I don't know about women because their pipes are obviously a little bit different. But for guys, of course, also, whether you're a man or woman, what a lot of people do, which adds insult to injury, is when you wake up in the morning and the first thing you reach for is your phone. And then before you know it, you might go on IG. And we all know it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you look at. If you're a man, your Instagram homepage is going to be filled with, brimming, voluptuous, orb-like female fat deposits. That's just what it is, and most guys are going to reach for their phone. They're going to fire up Instagram or TikTok, or they're going to go on the internet and they're going to go search, spicy images that, titillate their mind and their imagination. And then if you wake up and you got morning wood as it is, well, that's a combination that's hard for the average person to combat if your willpower is maybe not up to snuff that day. In my opinion, it also is more difficult when it's cold outside. Because when it's cold outside, you're going to want to cocoon in your bed for as long as possible. And you're just not going to want to get out of bed. And what that leads to is not watching popular mechanics documentaries on YouTube it usually, hey, let's look at that. Let's look at that rack. Let's look at this one. Which one's nicer? Blah, 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 blah. And before you know it, your hand is scooting down under the sheets, in a warm place where it probably shouldn't be. So there's that. Um, what's the other reason for gooning? The other reason for gooning is much more universal and much more wide-reaching. The fact of the matter is that, for women, they call it doomster-baiting. Women who are doom scrolling on TikTok and they're also touching themselves at the same time, they call that doomster-baiting. Don't believe me? Go read it online. Read about it. A lot of guys, and I think women too, I would say definitely women also, if you're stressed, if you're feeling anxiety, if you're down in the dumps, you're depressed, maybe you've got work to do, you don't want to do it, you will resort to gooning because you get the immediate hit of endorphins, right? That chemical soup that makes you feel good. And it's a good proxy at the moment for feeling like you accomplished something. But as everybody knows, when that post-nut clarity sets in, you actually feel more despair, more down in the dumps, more deep, deep in the foxhole you can't get out of. So, and that's the problem with most guys is you are alive long enough and you've gone through this roller coaster over and over again, and man, I'm going to feel worse if I do this. But then your monkey mind just takes over and you do it anyways. And then now a couple days, you're going to kind of feel like crap, and then you'll get back on the saddle again. You'll be feeling okay. And then you may have this cycle over and over and over again. So, the optimal conditions is to not goon at all because, we all know, especially with primates, they only goon when they're in captivity, when they're in an unnatural environment, a prison-like environment, which is what a zoo is for them. And so if you catch yourself gooning all that much, it typically means that your life is somewhat like a penal colony, pun intended, I guess. So you really don't want to goon at all. However, for most normal guys who've got a normal drive, they're going to have a hard time kicking cold turkey, especially with access to the internet, smartphones, all that stuff. It's best, depending on your age, to have a schedule. Maybe say, if you don't have a girlfriend, if you're not sexually active with a partner, then say, hey, Sunday's going to be the day. Maybe it's once every 2 weeks. If you're more mature, maybe it's once every week, But I think even if you're young, you're 18, 21, 25, you really should try not to be, draining the swamp, so to speak, every day. Because no matter how hardy you are physically, it's still going to take a toll on you. And it's not even your physicality. It's just the luster of your eyes, what the Zoomers, instead of calling the halo effect, what they call aura, It just impacts you. You could tell. And you've got the eyes to see. You can look at other people and you go, man, that person looks depleted, And a lot of people think this is, bro science, on the spectrum, But I think you can literally look at people and you can usually tell that person has their sexuality under control, or this person is sexually immature and irresponsible and is probably sitting in front of the backlight of their computer or whatever, for 8-hour session or whatnot. I don't know. I mean, it's and the thing is, when you hear this content online, a lot of it you're always wondering with the guy telling you about it, like, is he a hypocrite or not? Because sometimes you get that vibe, like, oh, that guy's probably a gooner. That guy's probably beating it every day. So it's hard. Where do you turn? Obviously, for guys, it's a kind of an embarrassing topic to talk about. You could definitely see why. If you're easily embarrassed by things like this, which a lot of people are, you could definitely see why it'd be a problem. Who are you going to talk to? You going to talk to your dad? Hell no. You going to talk to your mom? Even more of a hell no. You talk to your older brother? Well, maybe, if you have an older brother. But, all a person has to do is do an N=1 experiment on themselves and see how they feel when they goon, like have a spreadsheet, right? Or a notebook where you write down, hey, today, this is what's going on. This is the ambient temperature outside when I feel like gooning, right? Or whatever. And write down all the factors, all the variables, and, say, I don't know, I was feeling particularly, horn dog today, and then got this done and feeling good or feeling bad or whatever. And typically, if you keep a log like that, you could start seeing some trends, some patterns over time. Um, but I think it's almost universal. A lot of guys will say, "Oh, I'm high testosterone, dude. I can goon all day and I won't feel any drop in my nutrients or my well-being or whatever." But that's a whole bunch of cap, really. I mean, because we all know with post-nut clarity, you can emit the nectar, right? And you can feel good that day. You'll feel totally fine that day. You're basking in that initial release of prolactin, but it's the day after where you really start kind of feeling that hit. You feel that your vitality is attenuated. You feel that something, a lot of people claim like you lost your connection with God, or you didn't lose your connection with God, but it's just, you're a little bit, instead of clasping the dude's hand with your hand, you're pinky swearing, like it's just not there. The connection is kind of marred, so to speak. And I think there's something to that. I usually don't answer questions. That are not super chat questions, but I'll answer this person's question because I don't care. When was my last time? I had sex about 8 days ago. So that would be that. I met a girl recently at a market, and so we've been seeing each other off and on a little bit. It's a beginning stage thing, I try not to, if I can avoid it, man, I try not to, because I don't get any satisfaction out of that. And I know, I'm old enough to know that it's not going to give you any satisfaction other than perhaps some temporary stress relief. But then again, I don't even really think you're getting stress relief. It's almost like a hit of muscle relaxant, but then you're stressed again because you start feeling shame or guilt. Why did I do that, man? There's so many other things I could have done. I could have gone to the gym. I could have worked out. I could have gone for a walk. I could have gone bird watching, for God's sake. I could have done anything. I could have worked on a chapter in a book. I could have painted a picture, and that's the thing that most guys have to learn is when you feel like you're horn dogging, like you really want to do that, how to sublimate that desire into action, a different type of action, creative action, or just knocking out work. Knocking out something you got to do. Maybe you've got a sagging fence gate, and you got to fix that. And you've been putting it off for the past 2 weeks. Well, use that, horniness or whatever and go get that done. Go fix it. Go put a wheel on that gate and fix the sagging, it's hard with this sort of content because you don't want to come across as a disingenuous type of David Goggins. Oh, get the work done, bro. Get it done, because he comes across as disingenuous. I get it. Yelling at people because they're lazy or they're overweight or whatever. But that ultimately is not going to get them to change what they're doing. Bad cop doesn't get you too far with people. You need at least a mixture of bad cop and good cop. If not, good cop all around to get people to change and modify their behaviors, And most people are not going to listen, like young guys are not going to listen because it feels too good. And I understand, dude, when you're young, you're so horny. You'll do anything. Oh my God, you just want to feel a woman. Anything. You want to sniff their hair, no creep. You want to sniff their hair. You want to be around them. I get it. You're 18, you're 21, you're 25. Oh my God. It's like, you got the Hoover Dam, electromagnetic dam, or hydrostatic or whatever the hell it's called. You got this dammed up energy in between your legs. You're like, it's too much. And so if you're young, all you know is, I can dissipate it and I'll feel less temporarily crazy. But the thing is, you got to take that feeling of horniness, which is temporary craziness, and sublimate it where you no longer are feeling illogically horny, and use that and sublimate it and get things done. Or not, you don't even have to do anything. I mean, there's great forays are made for people when you're horny and you just sit and meditate, or you think through your problems or whatever. You'll notice you're much more likely to come across a solution or just something that makes you excited, potential problem solving, troubleshooting, if you do have that vitality, that potency working for you in lockstep with your willpower. That's really what it is. I mean, if you're depleted, you're trying to solve your problems. I mean, you're really, like it's, like you're under a prison trying to crawl out with a spoon. It's not really going to work all that well. The problem is that you're fighting your nervous system. You're fighting that feel-good release of endorphins, coupled with these pictures you're looking at or videos you're looking at that make you hot and bothered, and it's almost the perfect storm. So the first thing, and this is not novel information, it's information that's out there. The first thing is not even to stop gooning. If you can't stop, it's to stop looking at the salacious content. Stop looking at the spicy videos and the spicy pictures and use your imagination. A lot of guys, I think, even had a problem with that. And they realize, oh, now you're not so horny anymore because you don't have something to project on, You're looking at a picture of some cute redhead girl and you're pretending that your dang-a-lang is, in between her lips or whatever. It's another thing when you're not looking at it with your eyeballs and you're trying to just think about it in your head. So that's the next step. Maybe find a picture online that you goon to, that you like. Stop looking at the picture and start to recreate it in your mind. That's the first step. And then get off the pictures and the videos altogether and just use your mind. And then eventually you're going to get tired of that and you're not going to want to do it anymore. And you're going to go, okay, this is lame, Because even before the internet before the internet got popular in 2004, before then it was looking at, smutty magazines, And even then, I mean, I remember as a young boy, you come across those types of magazines and there's only so many pictures to look at, We didn't have it so bad as, and I did grow up with the internet still, but a lot of the guys who came up later who grew up with Internet 2.0, Web 2.0, I mean, and you could just, oh my God, you could sit in your room all day and look at new pictures, Coolidge effecting all over the place, We didn't necessarily have that. You come across a JCPenney magazine and there's a girl in a push-up bra and, well, that's what you got, You can't go looking across websites over and over and Google Images and whatever, trying to find that one specific picture or video. And every guy knows what that is. You're trying to find, and you've got all these tabs open, man, and you're trying to find the best one and you're holding back. You're like, oh, I'm not going to let it go yet because I got to find the perfect, I got to jerk it to this one a little bit. And I got to jerk it to that one a little bit. And this is the final one that I'm going to let it loose to, All guys are the same. They all do that shit, And that's what creates the shame, I think, is because obviously, and excuse me, I'm getting a little stuffed up, nasally speaking. That's where the shame comes from, is you're looking at pictures of random girls. You know what I mean? You're looking at pictures of random girls you don't know. You're looking at pictures of videos of dudes who are doing what you want to do, which is get in those sweet cheeks, get in those sugar walls, get in those guts, and they're able to satisfy their desire. You're not. And so anytime you're gooning, there's a frustration component. And that frustration is that direct pipeline to shame and guilt, The problem is, most guys are not going to see that through. They're going to go, oh, I don't know, man. When I feel that way, I'm just horny and I just need to take care of it, bro. Like, you don't understand. Well, yeah, I do understand because we've all been there before where you're whatever it is that day, I don't, maybe you ate a bunch of oysters the other day and now you are just a bunch of oysters and Brazil nuts and now you're just ready to go, but there's no girl around, what are you going to do? Well, obviously the main thing is if you're trying to cut out gooning is to try to take away situations where you're alone with yourself and your phone, your computer, any tablet, any sort of devices with internet access. And that's where, community comes from, the strength of community. Like the Amish people don't have problems with this. At least they won't tell you they do, That's really the thing, man, because when you're around other people, you're ashamed to do things like that. You know what I mean? You're not going to freaking touch yourself when you're around people. You know what I mean? You're not going to do that. And then when you're around people, obviously, because you can't satisfy those desires, you're going to think about other things. Or maybe at worst, you'll daydream. That's okay. You're still not touching yourself, which is good. So the main thing is learning that stimulus response where if you start feeling like you're going to abuse yourself, so to speak, get out of the house, go call your friend. Maybe nobody's around you. Go call your friend. even, I don't know, call your mom. Nothing is going to get you to de-hornyize yourself than call it a freaking parent. You know what I mean? Or a sibling or whatever. And there's so many ways to take care of this, because that's the number one thing as a man, is to learn how to, even if you're super horny, is to just learn, just relax, deep breathe, and the desire may still be there, but it's not imminent where you got to do it right now. And then slowly but surely, the desire will evanesce. It will go away. Maybe not completely, but it becomes manageable, you know? Like that saying, time heals all things. Really, with the battle with gooning too, time heals all things. Just don't do it. Just when you feel like you're going to do it, again, just breathe. Go for a walk. Deep breathe. Go focus on other things. Another thing that helps, well, I don't want to talk about that in the stream. I'll do a separate one for that. There are other techniques, psychosomatic techniques you can use if you're really, really struggling and you really can't break the chains. There are different ways, but most of the stuff, if you're a reasonable dude, you've got some self-control over other aspects of your life, you can get it together. I think the hardest, it's for guys who are not having sex, guys who don't feel like they have prospects, guys who are utterly black-pilled, so to speak. And the problem is when talking to those guys, you have to be very careful, because you can come across as if you're shaming them when you don't mean that, And it's tough, there are some guys who, they don't look good, and you could tell that they're going to have a hard time attracting anyone. But at the same time, there's got to be that self-respect, because even if you're going to be forever alone, the fact of the matter is gooning is depleting your own internal circulation of nutrients, in your system. If you believe in the sacred secretion or not, the sacrum and the colostrum oil, or, it doesn't matter if you believe in that or not. It's just, that if you're going to sully yourself with gooning over and over again, you never feel better about yourself. You always feel worse, and that's something that most people, as time goes on, they just can't live with. When you're young, you've got that vitality. You're able to regenerate, respawn that vitality pretty quickly. But as you get older, I'm not in my 40s yet, but I would imagine when you get in your 40s, your 50s, that's when you really start being careful with it and saying, I'm not going to let this loose anymore, because I see what it does. Whether it be, related to, a loss of collagen or feelings of, less circulating testosterone or whatever, there's something, whether it's bro science or not, doesn't matter. What matters is how you feel afterwards. And it's almost universal that how you feel afterwards, after that initial release of relaxation from the prolactin, is you don't feel good. You don't. You feel lacking. You feel hollow. You literally feel weak in the knees, And in Chinese medicine, especially, that weakness in the knees is tied to your kidney, which is where the Jing comes from, that vitality, your body's entire vitality, the physical representation of that vitality, whereas Qi, or, Shen, I believe is the other one, are more metaphysical or ethereal aspects of that vitality. Anyways, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Like I said, I'm not losing my voice, but I'm super stuffed up right now, so I just really, if I'm going to talk any longer, I'm going to sound like a Muppet. So I got to get going, guys. I hope you have a great day. Make sure you subscribe, hit that notification button, and I'll talk to you.